Agent,
yes.
You've learned a lot so far. You've seen how to do design work, you've seen how to take a Photoshop comp, bring it to Flash Catalyst, start putting in some back-end code.
Right.
You've also seen how to take other libraries and bring them in to see them. So let's see if you're up for a challenge.
Okay.
Can you take the application that was Flash Catalyst just worked with and build a back-end, perhaps with something like Flex Builder?
Ah, now there's a product that I do know a thing or two about. Come on over, I'll show you. All right, so as we saw before, when Flash Catalyst was creating that application from the comp with Photoshop, we exported that project as an FXP file. I'm going to show you here that we're in the Gumbo Max preview, which is a preview release of the next version of Flex Builder that's available to all of you here at the conference on the same DVD as the Catalyst preview. So what we're going to start by doing is simply importing that Flex project that was created in Catalyst. I'll browse out here, I've got it saved to the desktop. There's the FXP. Open it up and bring it into a new project. And you'll see here, it's my Echo Tours. Switch into design view, and now that same application that was created from the Photoshop comps in Flash Catalyst is now available for me to do all of the actual back-end integration work right here within Flex Builder. Okay? But what we really want to do at this point is what we want to do with this application at this point is start to actually wire it up to the back end. We're going to make an administrative interface where the EcoTours site administrators can manage the data that's back end on the database. But we need some sort of a super productive language that could be kind of on the server, that could access databases and other services. You know of such a tool?
It should be. How about we use Cold Fusion?
There we go. I've heard of it.
Heard of it? Okay, then you can keep your job. Okay, let's talk about Cold Fusion as a backend for Agent B's application. Now, I'm looking here at Flex Builder, same Flex Builder that you were just using. But I'm going to switch from the Flex Builder perspective to the Cold Fusion perspective. And welcome to... I agree. Welcome to the Cold Fusion IDE codename Bolt that will be part of the next Cold Fusion release, CF9, also known as Centaur. And I'm going to show you a little bit of let's show you a little bit of what Bolt can do for you before we go and actually fix your problem. So it does the kind of things you'd expect in a Cold Fusion IDE. For example, server awareness. Right-click on a server, manage the server, stop-start, launch the server monitor right from within the IDE if you need to. Things like opening up code and you get the color coding and collapse and expand and outline views you'd expect. All the obvious things. And some things that are perhaps a little less obvious, but really, really useful. Let me give you an example of what I mean. See if include, template equals, and it knows to pop up right away and ask you what template you want. Or here's a more useful one. CF query, data source equals, and actually knows the names of the data sources available to you.
You missed your closing paren there.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
I mean, not that I know anything about what you're doing there.
Dangerous to give me a Mac keyboard. CF output, query equals, and it knows the names of the queries already defined. Makes life easy there as well. But actually, here's my favorite one, look at this one. CF object, type is component, and it knows the names of the components in your project. Right, oops, let's fix that again. And then, if we do something like CF set, data object dot, it'll know the names of all the methods inside it. So the kind of intelligence you'd expect in an IDE that's going to make your development all that simple. There's a lot more to it, and I'd love to show off, but we have to solve Agent B's problem. So let's go over here and take a look at the database tab. So this is via RDS, showing you the databases, including the database that you're using over there. I can right-click, and it shows me the tables inside it. Now, typically, to build a backend to a Flex application, you create a Cold Fusion component and methods with queries inside them, and select statements and do it all manually. At least that's how it was done for the last decade or so. But there is a new way to think about building applications, and that's using abstraction layers like ORM, or Object Relational Mapping. And so there is a feature that will simplify that for you. It does support the community offerings that are out there already. It's also built in, but look at this. So here's the table, right-click, generate ORM. And that has, when it refreshes over here, let's refresh it, that generates two files for me. An application CFC where it turned on the mappings I need, and also a destination CFC with the properties in the database all already defined. Now that's done, I can generate a service, and here is the service that, okay, let's refresh it. Here's the service that I could pass up to you, and it's ready to use. It's got all the methods you'd expect, ready based on those properties already defined. Now just to make sure it's working, let's generate a quick test client, generate Ajax client, and it generates one last page. Let's refresh it again. Here's the page. So this is just using Cold Fusion Ajax controls to test that client, and I go back into there and test it. The application is working. I can update, delete, worker records, all without writing any code at all, courtesy of Centaur and Bolt. Now, before I turn it back over to you, one thing you should know is this is not quite available yet. But go to Labs, and there is a form you could fill in to sign up to be notified when the pre-releases are available, both for Centaur and Bolt. And for that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, H&F. So now that we have this, this back-end logic implemented in Cold Fusion, we want to start using that in our Flex application to empower the administrators to access that back-end database. Now, we've seen Cold Fusion here, but in the features in the Gumbo release, we also support PHP, we support web services, XML. In fact, if you're using PHP with the new AMF support that's built into the new version of the Zen framework, it makes it almost as easy as using Cold Fusion. So let's take a look now at how we'd start hooking up the data. In the past, this was quite difficult for developers to figure out how to do all of the different kinds of remote access to the objects on the server and handle all of those CRUD operations, inserting, updating, and deleting records. But we're introducing this new concept called a data service, which is a model that represents both the data and the operations available on the server-side logic here. So I'm going to create a new service based on the Cold Fusion component that you just created, Agent F. So here's that EcoTours folder. This is the destination service, CFC. And now Gumbo has gone and introspected that CFC and has told me these are all of those operations that were available. If I click Finish, we're actually going to build this model internally to allow me to start building intelligent UI that's bound to the service and the data that's back on the server. So you'll see now our data service panel has been populated with examples of all of those operations that you saw, as well as the data types that were defined thanks to the ORM feature in Centaur. So if we want at this point to start generating UI, it's as easy as taking some of the methods that we want, so for example the get all items. I'll drag that out onto the design surface and I'll have the ability to go and test the data to make sure you can see the live data coming back from the server. If I was using XML or a weekly type service, I could go and specify the data types, but again, since Cold Fusion already knows about those data types, I'll just accept the defaults, and I have a data grid that already has the column names that came back from that. I can save, and at this point run that. So I haven't written a single line of code. I've simply pointed to the Cold Fusion component on the back end, and now I have running Flex application getting that data from Cold Fusion.